Hey everyone, welcome back to our second part of the two-part premiere of House of Villains season 2. We're here today to find out what's saltier, our first banished villain in Larissa or Teresa's cooking. That's the big question I have, at least. I'm of course Jenny, and joined by my co-villain Chappell. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so happy that you started with Teresa's cooking because in this episode, we are going to get an elimination, kind of. But the
Kind of,
person that we
maybe.
eliminated, I really think this person really identified like why I was saying that, nah, this is a good villain to have as good
Yes.
representation for this particular franchise on House of Villains. So I'm very excited to talk about it because when I think she said, eat this, eat trash, it's the same. And I died, Jenny. I almost made that my header here on the video. I almost just like put eat this, eat trash, it's the same.
Eat this, eat trash. It is the same. I'm thinking that Larissa wants everyone else to be eating trash after we see her go backwards in the new and improved chairs in the banishment dungeon or whatever I think Wes called it a futuristic sex dungeon in yesterday's episode. But we have this weird potential twist at the end of the episode. The episode ends with the chair coming back down, but we don't get to see who is in said chair. So that's our little cliffhanger until next week. So, but we did get a banishment. We have very much reason to believe that our first villain to leave us is going to be Larissa from 90 Day Fiance. And like you said, I'm kind of sad. I'm sad to lose her, but we had to lose somebody. And I think that she brought a lot in these 2 episodes, but we can break it all down here. I feel like this episode maybe a little less action than yesterday's. Am I wrong? I don't know. I felt like a lot of the episode was the Hollywood Boulevard challenge, the redemption challenge.
Yeah, this was a vibes episode to me as
It
well,
was
but there was
vibes,
a
yeah.
lot of social strategizing though.
Mhm.
We saw a lot of politicking, a lot of West trying to push his agenda on people. Then you have Richard Hatch going up against West and saying like, I'm good at this. You're not better than
Yeah.
me. And so we saw that. We got a fight between Victoria, Queen Vicky, and Larissa as
Mhm.
well. We got some good sound quotes and drops here. I think that it was a fun episode. Typical House of Villains, it's like we're back into old swing of things. But I do wonder if this is not Larissa who comes back through the wall. Who could it even be? Right? Like
I
in
know.
my mind, I feel like it's just Larissa. Like I feel like they're just like maybe just throwing a random twist in here. I don't know.
Yeah, so I felt like when they were trying to show us because I feel like they did a preview of what was coming in the episode, or maybe I'm thinking of the next time from last night, but there was like the producer's voice saying like, stop, or like we have a problem or whatever, and then someone says, "Oh, that's why you were scared." And so I was like trying to figure out, I was like, was there an issue with the chair and it's just Larissa comes back down because like there was a malfunction or something? Because we get to the again, don't know what this dungeon is called that they
It's
go
the
to.
stronghold, Jenny.
A
The
stronghold. It's
stronghold.
yes, the
Yes.
futuristic sex dungeon, because that's like that. Wes said that, and he's a cult leader for a reason. Okay, he got into my
Yeah.
head with that. But they get in there, and I guess there was like already technical issues with the chairs coming down. There was like, and again, I love this about the show. I love the breaking the fourth wall, the technical snafus that happen. We see the awkward gaps when things are going wrong and they're waiting for something to happen. So I think it's definitely possible that was just like a fun little thing that they wanted to do for a cliffhanger, and it was just that the chair malfunctioned and put her back down before she was like unstrapped from it. I don't know. There's gonna be people on the other side of the wall, right, ready to unstrap her.
Yeah. Well, look, I was in my Jenny bag this week, right?
Oh
And
no.
I looked at the preview for the next episode and I really
Oh
sat
yeah.
with it. And I was like,
Okay.
okay, if Larissa's gone and someone comes in, like I was confused. I was like, does Larissa just come back? Like you said, is it just a malfunction and they're just gonna use this as a gag? And then next
Yeah.
episode is gonna be down to the final 9 people that we have. But I did see a glimpse of the challenge. And it looks like they're gonna be doing some type of disco challenge or whatever.
Right. It's
Um,
like 70s party or
and
something. Yeah.
yeah, and they were all lined up. And I think I
Oh,
counted
you
10
saw.
people. I think I counted
Oh,
10 people. Yeah. And so I'm very confused because I
now I need
couldn't
to
make
go
out.
back and
Yeah, see,
see.
that's why I was like, I feel like Jenny's gonna be on top of this. So I wanted to make sure that I was like on my game. And so
Wow.
yeah,
It's
I
it's
watched it.
funny because I was doing that yesterday with the season preview, and I felt
Yeah.
like I was spoiled on things just based on some of the clips that they used in the like season preview. But who's to say? I did not look closely at tonight's the next time on for next week's episode. So that's a good catch by you. 10 people.
I think it's 10, but I don't know if that necessarily means it's Larissa. I couldn't really make out who
Yeah.
it was. That they're in costume. It looks like it's a woman, and so I'm thinking it
Okay.
might be her, but I can't justify her coming back based on what we saw because we weren't given any indication that there was some type of twist that she could use. There's no
Yeah.
power of veto or anything like that she could have had as well because we know she lost the redemption challenge. So I don't know how they could bring Larissa back. But I'm kind of hoping they are. Wasn't she so much fun in these first 2
Oh my
episodes?
gosh. If you had told me going into this that there was going to be a major like conflict plot line surrounded by the Raiders being
Yes.
like the Las Vegas Raiders, and the passion for this team, Raider Nation, like that was going to be a theme of like a major conflict. I
Mhm.
I don't even know what I would have said. It's so funny because in this preview, like the at the beginning of the episode showing like the previously on, and again, I'm an edit reader, so I usually things that they're showing from the previous episode are probably going to indicate a continuation of that storyline in the episode. And I thought it was really funny how in the previously on they showed Larissa talking about how she's a big fan of the Raiders. And because
Mhm.
I just thought that was like such a weird, like throwaway character moment from last night's episode. And then no, this like became a reason that her and Victoria get into this giant spat. Um, just beautiful stuff. Like I really, and it made me like enjoy Victoria more too. Just that
Yes.
she like we obviously want to see these people get activated. So I feel like you need someone that's going to go toe to toe with Victoria. Otherwise, I think that she might not deliver exactly what she's capable of without that
Mhm.
person to like go at. So yeah, I don't know. I really thought that Larissa was super super fun. So I wouldn't hate if there was some sort of twist that throws her back in, especially like she's pissed now. Like she got
Mhm.
banished. She's back. But there's gotta also be a situation where it's somebody else, right? Like, I mean, New York came back. Obviously, she was part of the beginning cast here, but I just thought it was interesting that clip of someone saying like, "Oh, I know why you were pissed now, or why you were scared," and I want to say like I don't know who that was posed to. Maybe Joel, but like, is
Mm.
there a chance that there's somebody else from last season, or just another villain that wasn't
Mm.
part of the original cast getting tossed in here?
Who from last season would you like to see come back the most?
Oh gosh. Oh, uh, Bobby Lights,
Probably, right? Yeah,
right? I mean,
I got
we
my
didn't
fingers
get an
crossed for
end of
Teresa.
we got robbed of like our end story with Bobby Lights
Right.
because he wasn't in there at the finale. He
Yeah, I
wasn't.
forgot
The
about
rest of
that.
the cast
Yeah.
came back, so I kind of feel like I just haven't gotten, you know, the rest of what I wanted from Bobby Lights. So I also just think like he particularly with this group, I think would be very ridiculous. Like, I think it would be really funny. So that's the top of my mind. Is there somebody that you're thinking of?
Well, you know, I love me Sanfisa, but I definitely thought like maybe Tanisha as our reigning champ could come back again if you know, like kind of like as like the reigning queen of House of Villains. Then I thought like Bobby is a great choice as well, especially because we kind of talked about this last season. It felt like Bobby kind of orchestrated his own demise in the game so that he could go, you know,
he had to
go home
to an audition or something.
Yeah, Bobby had things to do, and so it feels like it wouldn't be crazy to bring him back. But I also don't know if there's like another like villain that's maybe waiting in the wings that should have been on this cast who we didn't get because we got representation from so many of these shows. I just don't know who we would be missing to where I feel like Larissa's out, bring somebody else in and keep the party going. I feel like it's
but that's the beautiful thing is that like there are so many people that I like from shows that I don't even watch or I'm not familiar with that my brain wouldn't be able to like pick them out of thin air. So I wouldn't rule it out as a possibility. Like what if there was someone they really, really wanted and for scheduling reasons or whatever, they weren't going to be able to make it right for when shooting was supposed to start, and they're like, you know, it'd be really fun if we make this person like a twist and who like they replace whoever the first boot is and we toss them back. We really want them, but we can't have them at the beginning of the cast. I have no idea if this is a thing, but I'm just trying to think of like, you know, I know these things happen, right? Like where they want someone and like the timing doesn't work out, but if it's like a difference of 3 days and they're like, let's do something a little spicy, a little different. Like what better villain move than, you know, the special treatment of being brought in like late. We've seen this happen on all of these other shows where like someone gets to waltz like right in. Like that's why I'm thinking about a returnee because, you know, I'm always going to think of Paul from Big Brother, you know, walking in with friendship bracelets and, you know, just something like that where it's like, that's a villain move to just like walk in and be like, I deserve to be here.
Based on that information, I think it's got to be Bobby. You know, it's got to be Bobby. You got because Bobby is the one who will piss off the most people.
Bobby?
You got to manifest Bobby. Manifest Bobby or even Omarosa, maybe. You know, just people. If they come in, it's going to be fireworks from the moment they step in. New York has no love lost for Omarosa, and I highly doubt any of these other people would even find any pleasure in being around her. But at the same time, Bobby, even if you like Bobby, you're a potential target for Bobby as far as like his ire and like he can just wake up to he's like New York. He goes to sleep and he wakes up all charged up to go you know, beef with somebody. Like, all right, who's on the docket? And he had a very tumultuous relationship with Johnny Bananas last time. I think it would be fun to see how he reacts to maybe Wes. So if there are 10 people in the game next week, I need one of those 10 people to beat Bobby. I think you won me over.
I think it'd be really fun if they're going to bring somebody back. That Bobby is my top choice, but listen, if the pick is correct, like if it's a good person and it's going to, you know, if it's going to fill the hole that Larissa and her giant knockers will leave in the game, then I hope like I'm okay with that. If they are gonna, you know, come and bring as much as she would have, I can handle that. But what I hope it's not is just a gag that was for nothing. But you're saying you saw 10 people, so someone's there.
I did, and there was one other thing that stood out to me, and I don't want to get on this down this wormhole too much. But
that's what we do here is wormhole.
Yeah, well, New York was holding a little figurine. Did you remember what that was?
The knock blocker.
I thought she said cock blocker because it was a little.
She said cock blocker. But in the preview for next week, Joel shows it, and I'm like, I had to like replay it because I was like, shouldn't that be called the cock blocker? Because I'd heard New York say it in like the season preview or whatever. But Joel, I'm 90% sure calls it a knock blocker.
Right.
Which I don't understand because it's like rooster.
Well, that's the thing. I'm like, wait a minute. what if you can block an elimination or something like that? And they're trying to
Oh,
add that twist in, and Larissa is going to get a chance to compete for the cock blocker of the week or something. You know what I'm
okay.
saying? Like, I don't
Yes.
know why they would call it a cock blocker. Well, obviously it was for the double entendre, but like
Yeah.
also like it doesn't really make sense for the theme of House of Villains. So calling it the knock blocker makes sense as well. But why knock? You
Block
know,
getting
like
knocked out. Is
getting
that
knocked
what
out of the
that
game,
means? Yeah.
maybe. Yeah. And so I'm thinking maybe they're gonna give Larissa a chance at like one more competition. Like you could win the knock blocker comp and save yourself. I just don't
Okay.
know. But that's the only other like little piece of information that I have thinking about what could be coming in the future.
Yeah, that's such a good call. I totally forgot about that piece. We're gonna learn about what that is next week, so that really does lead me to think that you could be right in that their way of introducing the concept of the knock blocker is by having it automatically enacted in the first banishment, and that Larissa is lucky enough to get saved by the knock blocker, but I want to know what the point of like how it gets acquired. Like we can't just be doing this all the time. I don't want it to just be at the whims of production, like non-elimination legs. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I don't. I want to feel like there's purpose. Not that I'm like saying don't rig things for my favorite because like I'm
Right.
not taking it that seriously.
Mhm.
But if it's going to be a game mechanic that they're introducing this season, I want everyone to know about it, and I want there to be some sort of way to like work around it, or work for it or whatever. Like I want it to feel like it's not just completely random.
Yeah, for sure. I'm thinking maybe like an AI arena type situation, maybe where you
Mm,
get like one
listen,
last chance to save yourself.
you'll never find me saying a bad word about the AI arena. She
Hmm.
was that girl. Like, okay, like if that's what they want, if they want to dabble in something like that, um, I'm totally fine with that. Because this is everything we were saying when we chatted about this yesterday. It's like we love this show because of the people on it. So
Hmm.
if there are things in place to give people a shot to last longer, that I'm fine with that because I'll be rooting for certain people to stay even just for the entertainment of it all. So I wouldn't hate it. But yeah, it looks like that's going to be a thing because Joel is going to introduce it next week, it seems, and then there's at least one other clip of New York holding it and calling it the cock blocker. So
Yeah,
it's got to be something. It's got to be something.
gotta be something.
So we'll see. We'll see what this is about next week. If anyone has any theories on who the 10th player that we might see next week is, Larissa coming back? Is it a previous player? Are we going to see Bobby Lights? Let us know in the comments because I want to know if anyone else has any theories. But in the meantime, we should talk about how we got to this result of Larissa getting thrown back, whether she comes back or not. So we see the fallout of the hit list nominations. Obviously, the episode last night ended with Candy especially being absolutely pissed off, but seems like things get kind of calmed down pretty quickly. And they go back up to the kitchen and Candy's like, what the hell happened? Like, I thought you were not going to nominate the team. And Safari just says, here's a bus, and I'm going to just toss my friend Wes right under it. And says, hey, talk to Wes. Like, do you need answers? Go talk to Wes.
Yeah,
I love this.
I don't hate
Safari,
it.
oh my
I
gosh.
I don't hate it. It's low
Yeah,
key a strategic
he's
move.
playing.
He
Yeah.
says like I don't mind people thinking Wes is the puppet master because one, Wes wants to be the puppet master. That's his whole thing. And
Mm-hmm.
two, if they think I'm just a figurehead, they're gonna take out their anger on who actually pulling the strings. And to me, that's Wes. And Wes is now forced to do damage control with Candy Muse. And I think Wes did a good enough job. But we both pointed out last episode that hey, you got to tell Candy Muse that they're the pawn beforehand, right? And Wes says,
Mm-hmm.
so we made a mistake. We should have told you, but now we got
Well,
you. So there's, well, what are you gonna do?
I mean, Wes kind of pushes that part back to Safari as well. So we're doing a lot of like pass the blame, but being like, so if any mistake was made, Safari should have told you ahead of time that this was the plan. That's the one mistake that happened.
It's the little bitty thing.
Yeah, but no, I mean, I already said this. I was very impressed with, the first night of seeing how Safari is playing, and I love this. Like, that is the perfect place to be, to look like, that you're easily controlled by another player, because that person becomes the target ahead of you, and other people might see you as someone that they can use to work. So it kind of, if they want to snipe your like the person that they feel is controlling you, they might be looking to then pick you up. Now, what's important, especially if we think that there's going to be some sort of vote again at the end to finish this off, you want to be eventually address that narrative and not look like you were controlled the entire time. So, but so far, Safari's making moves. And then he says, "You know what, Wes, you can handle it." And it didn't seem like Wes was pissed off about that. Like, he seemed like he just took the conversation and he was totally fine with that. He's like, "Okay, I'll go talk to Candy Muse. I'll get this situated. Like, it's all good."
Wes likes being in control. Like, Safari's giving Wes exactly what he needs, and he's also giving Candy Muse what they need. He's like, you need somebody to yell at? Go yell at Wes. And Wes is like, yep, it was me. I want people to know I'm the mastermind, because at the end of the day, I want to get credit for this stuff. And I think that Safari does a really good job to just be like, yeah, oh my God, I'm in over my head. I don't play these games. Wes will brag about his accomplishments in these games unabashedly. Like, I've been put on the block more times in this genre than any other person. Statistically, I'm the most bullied person by this genre of game. He said that. And so I'm like,
he said that.
Yeah. So I'm like, if he said that, I'm like, whatever he said. Yep, he said it. Cool, bet. Yeah, go with Wes. He's the pro. Look at all the times he's done. I've never done this before. Minus the game that we keep alluding to that he played with New York. And I'm sure we'll get into that in a minute. But yeah, I think Safari's just fine letting Wes be the front of this, and we'll just have to see if it pays off. Because there's one thing to have a shield. But also, if you give somebody too much, they'll run away with all of this, and you won't be able to get to them.
Yeah, exactly. And at this point, like, I love letting Wes take the reins if you're Safari, because we hear throughout this episode, I don't think anyone isn't on to Wes. Like, I don't think anyone is here not thinking that Wes is extremely calculated and not to be trusted for the long haul. But interestingly, people are still trying and willing to work with him. So it's like everyone's kind of like keeping their eye on him, but they're like, for now, I can ride with him. Like, this is an okay place for me to be. So it, throughout this episode, does still seem like Wes is kind of the decider of what's happening, because what we see take place is Wes early in this episode kind of decides, I think we're shifting the target, because Victoria comes over after the hit list nomination, and she's sad and she's pouting, and she and he's trying to comfort her, and he's like, let's go get you an Aperol spritz, and he starts seeing Victoria as an emotional and as he calls it, a desperate person. And he says, I'm, like, this is my favorite thing, is to pick up these desperate people and use them and save them. And so this is what has happened, is he sees Victoria as someone that he can actually use. He doesn't think she has any idea what she's doing, and seems like a perfect opportunity for someone to manipulate. So this is the beginning of the shifting of the target off of Victoria. And even though they didn't outright say that means it would be Larissa, even before the redemption challenge, it seems pretty obvious, like, that is what they're thinking, because no talk about Candy going home. Obviously, like, she ends up winning the challenge, but like, they didn't say, okay, now Larissa is the target right at first, but as soon as Wes decides something, he's going to try and make this happen.
Yes. And I love this because Candy Muse is like, all right, I'm a pawn, bet. All right, I'm with the guys. Wes goes to Victoria. Hey, we're gonna save you, but we want your undying loyalty. And she's like, I will bend the knee.
Obviously.
Right. I'll pledge fealty. I don't care.
I
She's
mean,
like,
she
I'm
would.
down. She will bend the knee. And I'm sorry. I came into this very high on Queen Victoria because she's such a big character on the Bachelor franchise. But tell me this woman didn't deliver in this episode. You know,
Oh,
Victoria was everything in this episode. She would get my MVP award for sure, if not Larissa. One of the two of them was the star of this. And it's really hard to choose somebody over Victoria because she's flirting again. She's back at it. She's fighting with people. She's out here making alliances. If she wins a challenge, we will be in for a reign of terror from this queen, okay?
no, I'm completely with you. I love that it seems like so many people can't stand her, but she's kind of like moved into this position of, well, we don't think that you're good at the game and you're not that bright. So we're going to use you and hope that like everyone seems like, not everyone, but like a lot of people seem to see her as like, okay, well, I could have her in my pocket. I really think that at this point, Victoria's not going anywhere anytime soon. The fact that this many people were like, you know, outwardly annoyed with her, the fact that we were going to that banishment vote with several people being like, how do we make this happen? Like, I can't stand her. Like, even strategically, if we think that it's better to keep her, I don't even want to be around her anymore. And like the fact that she survived that makes me think that Victoria is possibly moving into cockroach territory. Like, I think that she might be here for a while.
Yeah. Camilla literally says, I wanted to vote Victoria out because she's a bitch.
Yeah.
She said, but I'm working with Wes. So I don't know. I don't know if I want to do that. Wes does a lot of good work for Victoria in this game because we really do have Wes versus Richard. Wes is on the prowl, doing all the politicking, bringing people to the side, saying, okay, I want to work with you, but in the meantime, I want to keep Victoria. And Victoria has gotten right under Richard's skin, okay? Going in and flirting with Safari until like 1 a.m., going through her Instagram story, and all her friends like, and this is my friend such and such, and this is what they.
I love
was
looking at myself.
Yeah, I love looking at myself. And Safari's just laying in bed like, and Richard was out for blood at that point, and I believe he's one of the two people who voted the wrong way in this moment because he voted her out, I'm pretty sure.
Yes. So there was the montage of 3 people going in to vote at once. I think it was Teresa, maybe Jesse, and Richard. I want to say because it seems like Richard was trying to, or was it, who did Candy vote for? Because Candy wanted Victoria out too. So maybe, I don't know.
Candy's aligned with Wes, so she didn't.
Yeah,
she didn't
so that's why I'm not sure who the second vote was, but was it Jesse? Was it Richard and Jesse?
Jesse would kind of make sense because he did not like Larissa. I mean, he didn't like Victoria.
Yeah, because he before they go to vote, Richard kind of pulls or Jesse pulls Richard aside or whatever, and they're talking about like, okay, we've got us 2 and Candy, we need one other. And then there's ultimately only 2 votes. So I'm trying to figure out like it must have been Jesse or Candy, I would think, to be the other vote. But anyway,
yeah.
So like Richard being annoyed, and I understand because like they're straight up having like a full volume conversation in the bed with the lights on, and like Richard is like rolled over like in the next bed just like waiting for her to like go away and leave him alone. But like what's fascinating to me is that like, yes, it was like a super cut like, you know, montage of Victoria seeming to just like talk Safari's ear off in bed, showing her Instagram page, whatever, but it doesn't seem like he's giving anything back. Like he just seems like he's being like a socially decent person and just being like, you know, just not being rude and being like, hey, can you get the fuck out of my bed? Like, it doesn't seem like he's flirting back with her at all. Maybe that's just me not seeing it, but like there's a difference, and we'll get to this. there is a very big difference in how Safari talks to a Victoria than how he talks to Miss New York.
Oh
like,
yeah.
and there's reasons, but I just think that like none of this seemed like he was giving any of this energy back to Victoria.
Yeah. I just went and checked my notes. It's definitely Candy who votes out Victoria.
Okay.
Along with Richard. It looks like from the naked eye, it looks like Victoria and Safari could potentially, if they wanted to, do like a showman's thing. She's obviously not afraid of flirting with him. They both have OnlyFans backgrounds as well. We learned in this episode.
Victoria quit though. That's why she's broke.
She did, but she is broke, and so I'm just saying, like the back door is right there, And so
they could get into couples content.
They could. They really could. I think currently they're both known for their solo work. Yeah. And so it's something there where you can see the seeds of it. But when you compare what Victoria's doing with Safari to what Safari's doing with New York, it's a little tense, like it's a little steamy over there. It's like there's some giggling going on, some hand holding. New York talks about it and we kind of speculated this last time. Was there something here before? Because they like to lean into oh yeah, Safari still has certain feelings. Yeah,
what happened?
He said, "You want to give me a kiss?" And she was like, "Oh my god!" It was the first time he said it. She walked off boy, stop. But then the next time they're in the kitchen, and everybody else in the house is starting to notice. They're like, "What y'all talking about over there?" It's very steamy, and I don't know. I like to see it. Turn it up.
Imagine being Victoria and being like, I am trying so aggressively, as a single woman, to be flirting with this man, and New York is just effortlessly, literally engaged in a relationship and is just being her magnetic self, and has this man complete he wants her.
Yes.
It's he's definitely pushing this more than she is. You can tell that she's kind of being I care about you. We're working together. We've got a thing now. I think she's trying to keep it a little classy for understandable reasons. But Safari doesn't give a fuck. He's going to be continuing to knock at her door, I think, as long as the two of them are here.
And it's so funny because New York is engaged. She's like, I'm engaged. And I was like, New York, you engaged? You ain't tell nobody. We didn't know this. And so, yeah, you're right. Victoria is going up against somebody who is taken and still losing this battle.
A massive L. You're just you can't, you're losing to someone that is literally not even in the game.
Yeah, for sure. It's tough. It is tough, but the chemistry between Safari and New York is way too fun for me to care about. And we talked about Safari being a villain and what his superpower was. This is it. This is Safari doing what Safari does best. And so because God knows he didn't talk about his relationship status, but I would not be totally shocked if he wasn't single either.
Well, that's the thing. That's probably why he's to New York being so right. Yeah, okay, you're engaged and
yeah. She's like, but the cameras are here. He's like, have you seen my show? Have you seen Love and Hip Hop? This is what I do. Right. And so I like it. I like when my villains are playing into their strengths. I definitely think this is a bad move. Because why are you publicly flirting with New York? You know what I'm saying? That's the problem. Yeah. If you in New York want to canoodle in the background, sneak around a little bit, that's great. But just to be in the kitchen openly, fighting the urge to claw each other's clothes off, it's all right, calm down, get a room.
And Teresa's really in front of my over-salted salad.
Can we talk about the salad? Because we gotta talk about the salad,
Teresa's cooking. So I don't know at what point of the span of the day this was, because it seemed to be all in the same day. They did the redemption challenge, then some sort of big dinner that Teresa prepares, and then the banishment. I think this was all in the same day, but we see Teresa, she's in the kitchen and she says, I'm gonna cook for everyone tonight. And she's telling us like this is gonna be her strategy, that she has 4 cookbooks, and is apparently trying to open a restaurant with her daughter. And so this is her passion, this is her skill, and she's going to share this with the rest of the villains and cook them a good Italian meal tonight, which I'm like, that sounds incredible. The reviews, not so good.
Well, it was like this episode was so heavy in the gaming portion, right? It was constantly Wes politicking, constantly Richard politicking, and the one moment of silence we really get is the moment people start eating. And I thought, oh, this might be a good sign.
They had no saliva left in their mouth to speak, I think, is what happened.
I thought it could have potentially been a good sign because, okay, people are eating so they can't talk. You know, like that's like that. As a person who talks a lot, the fastest way to get me to shut up is to give me some good food.
Right. Yes.
Because I'm like in the zone. So I thought for a second, but as they pan from person to person, you're like, oh, this doesn't look
right.
Yeah. And unfortunately for Teresa, Richard Hatch is here and he doesn't really know how to hold his tongue.
No.
Richard Hatch is an 8, right? Like there's a pretty pretty
I think that tracks.
I think that tracks.
I'm sure if we go to that really awesome website that has like the
people,
Enneagram and like the Myers-Briggs for everyone on reality TV, I'm thinking that Richard Hatch is an 8, which this tracks. He can't help himself. He
cannot help himself. And he says, wow, Jesse, it's funny that you haven't actually eaten your food and you're just pushing it around your plate and avoiding eating it. Why would you say this in front of people?
Listen, he doesn't give a fuck.
He does not care.
Yeah, he thinks it's funny, and he's also just like, this is an observation. And also, it's almost like someone needs to break the awkward silence and address the elephant in the room of like how oversalted it sounds like these dishes were. And he's like, I'm going to do it in this back, like sideways way of like asking Jesse and like putting it on, like let's push Jesse to be the one that has to address that it wasn't good. Like masterful work here.
Very much so. How much money would it take for me to pay you for you to do this to someone? Like awkward dinner, someone's cooked, everyone's quiet, all you hear is the sound of the fork touching the plate.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Jenny, call that person out and make sure that everyone knows that the food is bad. Here's $1,000. You going for it?
Probably not. You know me, and that's why you're asking me this question.
I wouldn't even do this. That's what I'm saying. Like, bro, I was like, wait a minute. How did you? My soul would have left my body if I was sitting next to that person. Yeah,
I gotta go.
I would have gotten up if the moment Richard said that, I would have just gotten up from my like.
I gotta
and pee. That's my time. Yeah.
I think my mom's calling me.
Yeah. Oh, I'm a runner. I'm a track star. You're not even gonna catch me in this conversation. The moment it starts, like, all right, well, that's my time, because I'm definitely eating the food and like pretending that it's bad. I mean, it's good. I'm like, and then I'll deal with the aftermath later on. Yeah.
Honestly, I'd probably end up like accidentally getting drunk because I would have to like refill like my wine like multiple times just to wash it all down, because I'd be like, oh my god, it's so great, it just tastes so good with wine that I need more wine. I need a giant glass. It just goes so well with it. Because man, this is the problem. Okay. Salt. So it sounds like the main issue is that everything was oversalted. And salt is not a replacement for flavor.
No.
And I don't know if Teresa is perhaps a really good cook and she just had an off night. She's working with, stuff that is not in her own home. But I just think that if you're tasting things and you're like, oh, it needs a little bit more flavor or whatever, that does not always mean more salt. I love salty things. I love salt.
Mm-hmm.
I am a salt girl over a sugar girl like every single day. But no one wants to just eat something that just tastes like pure salt. So I hope that Teresa is familiar with other spices and seasonings that could be considered to jazz up the flavor in a dish besides just pumping more salt into it.
Yeah. I feel like Teresa, it's confusing to me because Teresa presents this as her superpower. Like, hey, I'm an Italian woman. Yeah, I coming in. This is my strategy. But then this happens. I was like, okay, Teresa, in my mind, has been cooking Italian dinners her whole life. You know what I'm saying? Like forever. Like this is not the first time she's ever done this.
She's
and this
first generation Italian, she says. Yeah.
Right.
So I'm like, I trust you.
I trust you. Now you letting me down. You're letting me down.
Is that the problem? The expectations were too high. You know that she's probably telling everyone, like, I got cookbooks. I'm like,
she did. She said it.
Italian. I've got all these recipes from like, you know, like my family and stuff. You're like, okay, this is gonna be sick. And then the expectations were too high. She set the bar too high.
She did. Yeah, something's wrong with the salt shaker at that building. Yeah, something's wrong. Something's wrong with the salt shaker in the House of Villains manor in the lair, because I won't blame Teresa for this. I just know that these people were very unhappy with their meal. It did not work out.
We got a montage of almost everyone in the like confessionals saying that it was trash. Like poor Jesse was the one that had to be like, it's a lot of salt, it's too much salt. But then, you know, he takes the fall, but then everyone is like pretty much echoing the same thing. And like you said, Larissa said, you eat this, you eat trash, it's the same thing. She's not holding back.
Which is cold. We didn't get a lot out of Teresa in this episode,
no,
really, except for a little quiet. We know she really liked Victoria. It reminds her of her daughter. But again, Larissa, just every time she's got a soundbite for everything. And eat this, eat trash is the same. I might have to put that in my bio on like on Twitter or something like that, because it just makes sense.
Yeah, but you know what? If you and I are at that dinner, I know we both grin and bear it. You know, after dinner's done, you and I take a step outside and we just like give each other a look, being like, "Yo," like that was. But we cannot pay each other enough money to take that fall, to be the person that makes everyone uncomfortable, most importantly ourselves. Like, absolutely not. This was really fun. Obviously I love the drama, I love the fights, I love all the conflict. I love seeing these people be villains, but I also really enjoy just these like little moments that just come up from them living together and doing normal things, and just the idea that everyone is just suffering through this dinner that Teresa's so proud of and was so excited. Yeah, so we should talk about, I want to get your take on Larissa and this redemption challenge. Obviously we saw no Joel until the banishment in this episode. There's a knock on the door. It's Janice Dickinson. I know you know who Janice Dickinson is. I know you're a top model guy.
Yeah, back in the day, man, I was the day oneer. I remember when the show dropped. You know, of all the shows in my reality TV catalog, it's one of the earliest I remember watching. I remember enjoying the show because, I mean, look at the women, but also it's a competition reality show, and that's my bag, right? And so Janice Dickinson
too, like so fun, like just so good to watch.
Yeah, and then Tyra Banks is a literal criminal. Like don't get me wrong, she hasn't gone to jail for anything. She's not been accused of any crimes. Don't let me do that. But
she can be on House of Villains then, though. Like whether she's gone to jail or not.
A billion percent. Because the things that happened on America's Next Top Model under her watch were criminal. Let me just say, Jenny, there was one episode where this girl, her friend died at home, and then they threw her in a grave the next day. Like her friend died at home, and then the next day they're like, and we're doing a casket photo shoot. And so she's in the casket crying the whole time. And they're like, yes, give it to us. Yes. Now smiles for me. You know,
just pretend your friend died. Like, just really get into it, but also sexy.
Right. But they're like, but she's like, my friend actually died. They're like, yeah, exactly. That's the motivation we need.
Yeah.
You know, I remember them, they called numerous contestants fat, and these women were far from anything remotely could be compared to fat at any point. One of the women that they were calling fat, they ended up dressing her up as an elephant and then calling her fat as an elephant. So it's a show about villains as well. It's the original House of Villains. But Janice Dickinson was definitely one of the standouts. And Janice has gone on to do other reality shows in which she was still a villain. I remember her on The Surreal Life, famously having some big fights with Omarosa. So that definitely happened. But she was on a lot of different shows. She had her own reality TV show. So when they said a villain, they went and got a good one with Janice Dickinson. I did not expect to see this. But I think they picked the right one. I think this is a good representation for what we want to see here.
So they're still doing the cameo style from last season, where we get like, you know, another villain from the reality TV sphere coming to introduce a challenge. So Janice says that she was sent here by Joel. It's really fun. She's like got someone in her ear and she's like repeating the things they say, even when it's to her. They're like, "You're doing great," and she's like, "You're doing great."
I didn't know why she said that. I was like, why is she talking to herself? No, she's just Janice.
She's just repeating literally everything she hears. She has no idea what's going on. It was really fun. I believe Candy says that Janice is like the number one, like the most villainy villain in reality TV. I don't know if Candy's just saying that about anyone, or she's just excited to see somebody else. Like, she's sick of these people already. And so, but that's what Candy Muse is saying. She's saying Janice is the villain of all villainy. This is a big claim. And you know, I mean, we saw her calling people fat. Like, it's pretty messed up.
She's pretty tough. They brought her in just to kind of judge people's walks and read off that like that little script, and then send people to Hollywood Boulevard, where their goal is to get signatures. All they have to do is convince people to sign their little board or whatever, so that they can be saved from in the redemption challenge. All you have to do is go get people to sign it. And immediately my thought was Candy's gonna kill this, because a drag queen on Hollywood Boulevard just seems like normal.
And she knows that, you know what I mean? Like, they have just a little bit of time to go get ready, and Candy goes, "Okay, I'm gonna go get myself into some quick drag, because I know that that's what I need to do." And honestly, like, the biggest shock of this challenge to me was just that Candy didn't win by a larger margin.
A landslide. Yeah.
Because, and I really think this gets discussed through the challenge, but because, you know, because she's Candy Muse, and she, you know, she got a bright orange dress on. She had like the big flowing wig, the like running mascara makeup. Like, it was a really, like, for a quick look, like, very, very good. That is demanding attention. That is a drag queen, like, compared to, even though the other two had their own things that they were demanding attention. I just think that it is perhaps the fact that so many people wanted to stop and also talk to her, take photos, take selfies. How much time did that truly eat up? Because I just cannot wrap my head around Victoria almost beating her. That's crazy.
Yeah, Victoria had a decent strategy. She said, "I'm not going to go too far. I'm going to just try to grab as many people walking by and just have them sign it and go. Sign it and go." Candy's like chasing people down, but then they want to talk to her because it's Candy Muse. You know, she's too famous to be on Hollywood Boulevard in a weird way.
She's more recognizable to people than the other two, for sure.
Especially on Hollywood Boulevard. There's like always like street performers and stuff like that over there. So when you go on Hollywood Boulevard, you can take pictures with people. And you know, like, this, like, for sightseeing, you know, it's like a tourist attraction. So you have Candy Muse, famous drag race person. It's like, okay, yeah, this is part of the experience. I'm in LA, whatever, I'm gonna take a picture. So Candy's getting that. But Victoria's like, nah, I just kind of like hit it and go. Go, get in and go, get in and go. I'm gonna keep up. And she did. It probably also helps that Victoria walks around wearing a crown because people love somebody in costume. I think it also like,
She's wearing a
oh,
fur
who's this?
coat as well.
Right.
I don't know if
Who
it
is
was
this
hers or
princess
was
type?
it Safari's.
Right. It's hard to tell these days.
Everyone's just wearing Safari's coats.
Just wearing furs.
He dressed up Rich. Did you see that?
Well, he had to because Rich was naked again. Rich was naked with the door wide open.
Rich's ass within like 10 minutes of this freaking episode.
I was like, but it felt like we were back, right? I was like,
yeah, I did actually. I'm like, oh, we're home.
I missed that ass. You know, it's been a very long time since I've seen Richard Hatchett's ass. Been what?
Not the same.
Yep.
He's got more tattoos than he did in like 2000, but
yeah, still white.
The ass was pretty much the same.
Still, yeah. And Safari was disgusted. He was like, "What is happening? Who showers with the door open?" I was like, "Safari, you're naked on the internet. You can't be this incredulous about this. You got to let it go." So yeah.
If anything, he's just like, you're showering with the door open for free.
For free.
Monetize, my friend.
Monetize. It's the name of the game is monetize. Yeah. Paywall. That's all you gotta say.
That's why you needed to commit tax crimes in order to stay wealthy, is because you're not learning to monetize.
You gotta learn to monetize. Rich, come on, what are you doing? They call you rich for a reason. You gotta stay rich. Yeah. Victoria does have somewhat of a costume as well, so I do think that helps. But my girl,
Larissa.
Ooh. How do you want to talk about a villain? I feel like this is a villain. This is what villains do. Larissa said, I ain't got no huge costume, which you would think like Larissa,
she does.
You got something you could use. But she's like, no, I want to use social awareness and social change awareness. I'm going to lead into people's hearts. And so I'm just gonna run up to people and be like, will you sign this for breast cancer? What does that mean?
Did she think that just because she has ginormous breasts that she's like breast cancer, like they'll you know what I mean, like it's what comes to mind. You see the boobs, but then she was also like at other points saying like veterans, like at one point this guy gets mad because he's like signing and then he's like, wait, this is for a show. He's like, you just told me it was for the veterans. And she's like, yeah, well, it's the show, and then we give the money to the veterans. Like, this woman is just lying through her teeth. Like, whatever cause she can come up with. I'm honestly surprised she got as many signatures as she did.
Yeah, she got a few, like almost 30. But it's crazy because it was an hour. It should not have been this hard. I would have raised my hand.
She was also running a lot. Like she was like, it seemed like Candy and Victoria kind of stayed stationed near each other, and Larissa was off. She took off.
If she had just stood there and said, I'm Larissa from 90 Day Fiancé and I'm collecting signatures. Will you sign this? People, there's like at least 20 people will know 90 Day Fiancé well enough to say, oh, okay, I might not know you. She was recognized, like use that. But no, she's too busy lying about causes. And I still want to know, what was she even presenting? She said, sign this for breast cancer. What does that even mean? For every signature, are we pledging some money to research? Or are you just like, yeah, breast cancer? Here's
breast
my
cancer
signature.
Thing. Yeah. I acknowledge.
Yeah.
I know that this is a disease.
I don't like this.
I've done my part.
This is a petition to end breast cancer? Sure, I'll sign. You're like, what do we need a petition?
No, are you telling me that we can just make petitions to end cancer? What are we doing?
Why have we been doing all this research? We could just sign this paper. Yeah.
I just need a D-list celebrity to approach me on Hollywood Boulevard with a Sharpie. What are we doing here? What are all these walks? These fundraisers?
This was the moment I realized I wanted Larissa to stay over Victoria. It was this. Yeah, because like I wanted Victoria
like that's villain.
Yeah, like I wanted Victoria to do well. Like I like the entire cast right now, so I'm like I'm rooting for everybody. But when Larissa did that, I said, "How do you like?" Even the villains are sitting around the manor being like, "So, who lies about cancer?"
They like that's messed up.
Yeah, that is like when you got the villains clutching their pearls, you know you're doing something right.
They're like, this is too far.
Right.
Like,
let's get her
out of each other, come guzzling. See you next Tuesdays. Yes, but claiming something is for is social causes. That it's gone too far. But the thing is, like, I understand where they're coming from. Like, it wasn't a good strategy because she was straight up lying, and people were quickly realizing, like, you have to imagine she lost signatures because people are like, that doesn't even make sense. And also, I see these other people, like, clearly, or I just saw Candy Muse also trying to get a signature. But so yeah, this does not go well for Larissa. She even gets turned down by a beloved Raiders fan. She runs up and she's Raiders Nation, and they're like, get away from me, freak.
Yeah.
It's like, oh.
And it's like, Larissa, no disrespect, but New York says that she can respect a nice frame with a huge rack. And what she said, a nice. No, she said, hold on, I got the quote somewhere because I don't want to.
I think I do too.
I don't want to misrepresent what New York said because this is iconic. Really funny. Yeah, she says, you have I respect a good frame and a large tit.
Yeah,
so although New York respects a good frame and a large tit, you can't just come barreling at somebody with those bad boys. Like, it's just like, you could put an eye out. She says that as well. Like, I hope you don't get two black eyes getting flipped back in that chair. Larissa, running up to somebody with your chest exposed for whatever it is exposed as, that could be a little startling, I will say. And so maybe that's also not helping you if you're trying to win friends and influence people to sign your breast cancer petition.
I mean, if anything, she probably would have had more success if she was like, this is for my back pain. Like, I am suffering. I actually need to. I went too far. I gotta scale it back. I'm in pain. I'm in pain. Like, that might have actually been more successful. They'd be like, you know what? You're right. You're right. That does look like a hazard. Yeah. So even though it seems like a lot of people don't like Victoria, people were not super impressed with this strategy from Larissa. I don't know how much that played into what ultimately happened with this vote. I think that, Wes kind of decided what he wanted to happen, and it's early enough in the game that people are like, let Wes run things or think he's running things for now, and that's fine. Like, this is not the hill to die on. Now, I think Rich would have happily died on that hill. He does not get his way here. We see him and Wes talking it out and saying, like, they both want someone different to go, and Rich says, well, you're in charge. And Wes is like, what? It's like, my guy. It's pretty obvious the way that you're going around talking to people. Like, like, I know you were trying to play this off, but.
Which makes me really kind of want to see what happens if Richard becomes the supervillain of the week. I love Wes. If I had to rank these people, I'm ranking Wes higher than Richard as far as like my adoration for these people as characters.
Yeah.
But at the same time, let's see what happens when Wes has to face some adversity in the game. You know what I'm saying? Johnny Bananas went up on the block last season. It's not like he went unscathed the entire season. Let's see if you can talk your way out of it. Let's see if you can, redemption your way down, or you can get the votes. I would love to see what happens if Richard does try to retaliate from this, because the target was Larissa. It shifted to Victoria. It shifted back to Larissa. And Richard was like trying to get it back on Victoria and was unsuccessful, but he still voted to eliminate Victoria along with Candy. And so there could be some backlash next week, especially if Larissa isn't actually gone. We really talked it through at the beginning, but if she is safe, Richard could have some more eyes on him than he expected.
Well, this is what makes this the structure of this game kind of fun, because while it is very Big Brothery, there is no you get put up and you win the veto and you take yourself off and then somebody else has to go up. Like, if you want somebody out, you have to put them up from the start, because one person comes down and you don't get to replace them. There's no backdooring. So, people, you have to put them on the hit list to get them out, and you're going to piss those people off. You can't try to be like, I'm only want to put up people that I know for sure are going to go out, because it's not going to happen. And Wes says in this episode he's the most bullied person mathematically in these reality TV shows of this kind. I want to see him work. But I really feel like he's the kind of person that as soon as he is on the hit list, that he's chalk picked to be winning these redemption challenges. Maybe not if it's trying to get signatures against Candy Muse. Like that, I think he would have lost that. But I think that he's got a pretty broad skill set that is the kind of thing that he could just be winning his way off of the block, even when people are trying to get him out. So you can't backdoor that. Wes is the kind of person you would want to backdoor if you want to get him out. And there's no option to do that on this show.
None at all. I think Wes is identified that he's sitting pretty as long as he gets to all these desperate people that he calls them. The desperation is what really is drawing him to creating this cult. And so he wins the day this time. He gets to keep Victoria, who is a part of his cult, and knowingly a part of his cult. Victoria, I like Victoria because Victoria makes sure we know, like, hey, I know what the game is. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know Wes is in control. I know I'm a part of the cult, and I don't care because I need to stay one more week. I can worry about the rest of this later on. It's like, kudos. I love that these people are invested in playing the game. Nobody is seemingly coasting. We haven't really talked about Spectacular, but he's in a dominant alliance right now, so there's not really much to report on there.
Honestly,
yeah. And then so, more of this, more of these people playing self-interested and trying to make their own moves happen. Because Candy did vote against the grain and is also a part of the cult. So maybe this puts a target on Candy, maybe it puts a target on Richard, or maybe somebody out of the blue just wins the next challenge, and then we have a complete shakeup from there. It's hard to tell, but I'm very excited to see what happens.
I am as well. I love that we did not have a unanimous vote. There's ought to be some fallout next week, whether Larissa comes back down on that chair or not. Before we wrap up here, though, we need to quickly talk about this fight between Larissa and Victoria before the banishment vote, because I don't know if they were just like, well, okay, you're my enemy at this point. Because I swear I had not seen them interact whatsoever up until this point. And so how this seemed to have started was, everyone's just kind of hanging around talking, and someone asks Larissa about the Raiders. She's a big Raiders fan, and she's like, yeah, like, oh, like there's just so many great, like it's such a good organization. There's like a lot of family people. And Victoria goes, oh, there's like a lot of family oriented people like in Las Vegas.
In Vegas? Yeah, in Vegas.
And like, I don't know if she was just genuinely being like, oh, I just like didn't think of Vegas being like a family town.
No.
You think she knew exactly what she was doing?
This was shady as hell, because if that was the case, when Larissa gets mad about it, she's like, what do you know about Vegas? I think that if you are coming from a sincere place, Victoria's response is, oh, I'm familiar with Vegas. I just didn't know, my bad. But her response is more like, I know Vegas. Do you know Vegas? I was like, hold on, pause. It escalated very quickly. Yeah, and Victoria did not back down. So this became Victoria really baiting Larissa, and Larissa just taking the bait every time. She's getting madder. She's like, what are you? You're so immature. You need to grow up. And Victoria's like, I don't want to grow up. Like, that's the Victoria I know from The Bachelor.
She starts doing the baby voice. She's like, I don't want to grow up. And then she's like, I don't want you. Don't make me.
Yeah.
And then it's like just completely poking her, being like, oh, I'm like leaning into this, which is great. Like, I want to see you be ridiculous. And like Larissa's like you can't use your two brain cells together to talk shit about the Raiders in Las Vegas. And then like as she's walking away angry, like Victoria's like, boo, Raiders suck, boo. Yeah. I'm sitting here literally, Chappell, I'm laughing out loud because I'm like, what am I watching?
It's a whole child.
Like, this is so, I can't believe that this fight was, someone yelling like, "You don't know the Raiders, you don't know Las Vegas." Someone talking in a baby voice, "Boo, Raiders suck." I'm like, this is not real.
I understood Larissa to my core. Okay, I'm sorry. Do not talk
No,
to me
I
about
get
sports.
it.
Don't talk to me about sports. I will get upset irrationally. I understand it's stupid. I don't care. It hurts my feelings when you talk about sports to me. You can't talk about my team. And so I understood. But when she says, you need to stay in your lane, and Victoria says, skirt.
I was like, okay, she can stay.
She can stay
for that.
She can stay. I said, not the skirt.
She hit her with the skirt. That was incredible. I'm like, if you can bring this energy to every fight, please, better. Yeah. Listen, we're like, I felt like I was like in Wes's cult at that point, being like, all right, Victoria, you can stay. We will save you.
Yeah.
You have. I don't care about your undying loyalty. I want you to bring this energy to every conflict with everyone. You need to have a fight with every single person in this house at some point, and I want you to bring that energy every time. Yeah, I'm not upset about. Obviously, hurts to lose Larissa. We don't even know if we fully lost her, but after watching this fight go down, like Victoria was won. The agitator in that. Yeah. Like she was fully the agitator. Like Larissa was definitely like letting her have it, but Victoria was petty. Like she was being a childlike, but in the most like effective way. Like she was getting under Larissa's skin, which is probably hard to do.
Yeah, it was good. It was perfect. No notes.
No
notes. No notes. Victoria ate that. She did. She started the fight and she ended the fight. You got Larissa running away from you, and she was minding her own business, talking about the Raiders, talking about Vegas, talking about how much she loved the football team. Like it was just like her, and Victoria looked at her, identified her target, and like, yeah, let me go push your buttons. You know, I think a savvier player probably would have seen through that and been like, I'm not doing this with you. But Victoria had time, and so I don't know, give her the fishy. Yeah,
we'll give her the what's the villain's version of the fishy?
Give her the cock block.
The guy. I mean, we need to figure out what that is. Can we call it the cocky?
We can give it the cocky. The cocky goes to.
They're all cocky.
Yeah, they're all.
Okay, I think that we like Steven Fishback. We are borrowing your IP and making it our own here. So I think that this is something we need to do going forward, Chappell. Every week or every episode of the podcast, we should give the cocky to the player of the episode. And I think, yes, we are in agreement. Victoria gets the cocky.
She survived the block. She had a good fight. She almost beat Candy Muse in a popularity contest, basically. Wild. She's been flirting. She got set. Yeah, this was everywhere. She was everywhere. But Larissa, valiant effort. Definitely for me, second place for the cocky.
Like we might get the cocky if she just comes back. Like, we might just have to give her the cocky next time for just being there. Because if she comes back, I think that she's going to give us something. So we'll find out. We'll find out. But yeah, we're doing that going forward. It's the cocky. We're gonna give away little awards because I think it's perfect because all of these people are literally cocky. So it's wonderful. So yeah, next time looks pretty spicy. Looks like New York versus Rich. Did you notice that? It looks like
it did look like it. It did, but again, we know New York could do this with anybody if she wants to. So this could be a blip on the radar, or it could be the biggest fight of the season so far. We're only episode 3, so it could be anything. Yeah.
And we'll have to see, because I'm very interested to see how that dynamic plays out, because in that conversation between Safari and New York in the kitchen, where Safari was literally, using his eyes to remove New York's clothing, at least that's how I felt like it was going. He lays out who he thinks the 5 are. And I was actually kind of surprised by it because it was those 2, Wes, Rich, and Jesse, Mr. Spectacular. And I thought it was kind of interesting that Rich was included in that.
No, I don't think that's a surprise at all. I think that's his roommate.
But I think given like the separation in their priorities, maybe that's where it's going to start to change, right? But yeah, like that was the 5.
Well, because Safari's he's tied to the Boys Alliance, right? The West, Jesse, like that group that went to Jax's bar, right? Yeah. So he's tied with them automatically. Because those were the boys he went to for like the consultation. He wants Rich as his number 1, and he wants New York as his number 1 as well. Like, so that's his team
in a different way.
I highly doubt. Yeah, exactly. I highly doubt that that's the same team that Jesse is thinking of, or the same team
definitely not that Wes is thinking of.
But for Safari, that crew makes sense. With
that's a good point.
Yeah, with a possible Victoria, if you could get to her, you know, if you can let her in close enough, then she could be like another random option he has. Because who else does he have? Like, he put Candy Muse on the block. She's obviously not okay with that. He doesn't seemingly have a relationship with Teresa at all. And so he's running out of other places to go, really, if he's not going to use that.
There's not that many people on this cast. So that does track. I would love to see more of Safari and Richard's relationship, like the little bit we got in this episode with him putting Richard in his outfits and his furs and all that beautiful chef's kiss, like so good. So listen, I'm ready for next episode. I'm so excited. I feel like this 2-night premiere delivered on all counts. Like I don't have any complaints about any of it. The cast, I think, even the people that haven't had a lot of screen time so far, I am so confident that they are going to be delivering. It's like you can just, not everyone can be at 10 at the same time. There are storylines. So I'm like, listen, Mr. Spectacular like has had like, for him, pretty quiet first 2 episodes. Not concerned about it at all. Teresa, not concerned about it at all. So feeling good going into next week. Of course, we will be back next week as the show will resume its normal schedule of Thursday night. And so I can't wait. Be sure to let us know what you think is going to happen next week with the chair coming back down. And yeah, we'll be back to talk about it next week. In the meantime, Chappell, busiest man in podcasting, what else do you have going on?
RHAPkickback.com. It's spooky season. We're talking about spooky stuff over there. Check it out. Subscribe. Make sure you go to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/@RHAPkickback, and hit that subscribe button. Hit like on the most recent video and check out our spooky content for the season. And make sure you check out The Walking Dead. The zombie kickback is happening. Check that out over on recapkickback.com as well. And then here on RHAP, you have The Summit. You have Nothing But Netflix. You have Club Condo. Plenty of Chappell content to go around. Check it all out and follow me on all social media platforms @RecapKickback. What about you, Jenny?
Chappell, I'm constantly amazed that you do all of this and then you come here and bring all of the villainous energy in the best way. It never ceased to impress me because I got other stuff going on, but it's not anything that anyone needs to pay attention to. We will be back here. Follow me on social media @Jenny Autumn. I'll let you know when the podcasts are coming through. We'll be back next week to cover episode 3 of House of Villains, season 2. And make sure you're subscribed. WeKnowVillains.com. The videos on the YouTube if you want to see our lovely faces. And thanks to everyone for putting this together. Thanks everyone for coming along on the ride for us. I'm really, really excited about this season. Can't wait to see what happens next week. The Cocky for Victoria. And yeah, we'll see you next week, guys. Bye.
Bye.